And the question I got from them, I thought I would throw back at you, was did Geno Smith save Pete Carroll's job? I gave a strong answer. I just said flat no. Hard no. I don't believe that to be the case at all, but I do think he made Pete look a lot smarter, right? I do think he helped us recognize why Pete has been as successful as he has been over all the years. But do you think that Geno Smith saved Pete Carroll's job with what he did this year?
Gosh, that is a great question. Why is it sometimes when you get outside of, what is it, the forest, that you start to just see it differently?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a question when you shot it to us last night. That's the first time I had thought of that all season. And some of it's we're so close to it. We follow every minute of it and every day of it. And we talk and listen, and we don't kind of get those big picture. That is a Colin Cowherd. That is a reflection back to a decade ago when Colin Cowherd said, Russell Wilson, what was Pete Carroll before Russell Wilson? 79, saved his job, right? Made Pete Carroll for all of those years. And, well, as it turns out, that's not necessarily the case now that we kind of got to see them in separate worlds and what all that looked like. And I would say, I'll circle back and answer the question, but I would say probably my mind goes where your mind did, which is circling back to the decision that Jody had to make, that the ownership had to make, that these owners in right now, 5 different locales across the country have to make. They have to make the most important hire in their building, right, which is their leader, their culture setter, their head coach. And Jody Allen looked at this situation and said, in Pete and John, I trust. You guys did it before, you're going to do it again. So I think it is more to your point that Geno validated that decision, not Geno saved Pete's job, right? Geno in his performance this year and the system and the way they played, and if it were just Geno and it weren't your rookie tackles, if it were just Geno and it wasn't your 1,000-yard rookie running back, if it was just Geno and it wasn't a Pro Bowl corner who was a 5th rounder that couldn't play corner, right? If it was just Geno and you didn't have those other stories, and Geno threw for 4,500 yards, 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, all the same numbers, and you didn't have those other stories, and this team was 7-10, right, instead of 9-7, then maybe actually there'd be a little more argument for Geno. But because of all of the other stories around him, I can't go that far.
I don't even come close. I mean, honestly, I don't even think about it that way. I think Pete is just on solid ground. I mean, and now this is more reaffirming. I agree with you than anything else. Jody already made this decision. And even if Geno had not performed like that this year, I mean, when she bet on Pete over Russ, she didn't think that they were going to the Super Bowl the next year.
No.
Right? I mean, like, she knew that it was going to take some time, that they were going to have to find the next quarterback, that the roster needed to be built back up in a post-Russ era. The cap space wasn't really going to show up until this coming year. So, no, I don't think if the Seahawks had gone 5-12, like many of us thought they would this year, that Pete Carroll's job would be in jeopardy at all. I really don't. Now, maybe if the Broncos had gone 15-2 and they had gone 5-12, Jody might have been like, "Hey, maybe I screwed this thing up." Mm-hmm. But I don't think she would have had that reaction just based on a bad Seahawks season, because I think that's what everybody expected it to be. The fact that Geno did come on the way he did and take every single snap at quarterback. Now, does he get credit for the ones he took as like a wide receiver where he had a false start and that type of stuff? Because technically he wasn't the quarterback in those snaps. Does he still get credit for that?
No, he was on the field.
He's on the field, so that's enough.
On the field, so QB's still on the field. He can't control the formation.
Okay, I'm just checking about that. So direct snap or something like that. That doesn't take away.
How about Sanchez just laughing at him when he jumped offside?
I mean, he did jump off.
Well, it was more of a balance. He lost his balance. He was trying to be cool kid on the block.
I mean, he was just standing there and he fell over. That's not a great sign.
Right foot forward, and then the next time he wasn't even in a stance. Right. You're going to stand totally prone, and you're not even going to move.
Right.
Yeah.
As you should. Just sit right there. And
no, I think that is a fair big picture.
Jody wasn't going anywhere else, though. I mean, was she?
No. Now, had he really struggled, and then all of a sudden you put Drew Lock in there if they were 1-4, right, or 1-5, and Drew really struggled, and the team fell to many of those pundits that Justin put together in that montage.
Well, if they had gone 5-12, both of those guys would have struggled.
Correct. So, and it's funny, man, at the end of the year here, Hayes in the barn of the regular season, now in the playoffs, and this is just a bizarre thought and totally unfair to Geno. But there's a part of me that wishes we could have seen 26-year-old Drew Lock.
Of course. Right? Because then you would have known how much of it was Geno and how much of it is the system.
If 25-year-old Stetson Bennett and 25-year-old Hendon Hooker and next year 25-year-old Michael Penix are playing, Drew Lock's just turned 26 this fall. Like, there's a little part of me in all of this season of everything you uncovered, right? In a year of discovery that started with that decision by Jody that was the right decision, that then followed with free agency, right, and guys that wanted to be a part of it. And with Pete Carroll, who, by the way, can you play that cut from Pete, too, back in March? Because while all those pundits were spouting all of that stuff, and frankly, when Pete did this, and here's a little 30-second montage that the Seahawks put out yesterday.
I think it's important for us to make a statement here. Our philosophy really is what it is. That's about competing. And, yeah, we're faced with some challenges, but all we see is what's going to go the right way, what's going to happen for us. We look at this just like every other year. We're trying to build the championship freaking football team right now. There's no future. We'll do it somewhere down the road. We don't think like that. We've never thought like that. And we're not going to think like that now. So in what I'm sharing with you, that's who we are.
Gosh, that was mid-March. That was a sprung, Pete.
Yes.
Like, if we needed to think back, and people around that building telling us, and we weren't buying it, a lot of folks weren't buying it. Oh, man, you just wait, man. Pete's back in his element. Pete's back in his spot, man. Pete is so energized. We should have listened to that.
Well, he seemed overly energized at the time. I mean, he seemed not just energized, but caffeinated.
Just a bit. But he believed. And so did Quandre Diggs when he signed back, and he believed. So did DK Metcalf when he signed his extension. He believed. And those guys, yeah, man, they just believed in a way that many others didn't, and that power belief, a big reason why they're here, man.
Yeah.
Big reason.